In a world full of never-ending, mind-meltingly dull and dreary Star Wars projects, endless tear-inducing Marvel spin-offs, and pointless remakes that border on blasphemy, you'd be forgiven for thinking that maybe there's no hope for the future of entertainment. Maybe we should just embrace our fate and accept that we will forever be preached to through TV programs that rub our faces in political messaging rather than entertain us with fascinating and engaging stories. Maybe there are no more original stories left to tell. But fear not, my friends, there is hope. There is Boy Swallows Universe on Netflix. The first time I heard about this series was when a friend recommended it. This should be a good thing, but sometimes this comes with ringing alarm bells, and is sometimes fraught with danger. You see, my friends and I are actually quite childish and like to wind each other up. One of the particularly mean tricks we like to play is to actually recommend something we've watched which is actually terrible. Or even worse, to recommend something we have absolutely no intention of watching because the trailer looks so fucking terrible. A particularly cruel example of this was when I recommended She-Hulk Attorney at Law. When I initially read the title Boy Swallows Universe on my WhatsApp, my mind was thrown back to a dark age of cheesy 90s sitcoms that make you want to rip off your ears and vomit out your lower intestine. Good one, Michael, but if you think I'm going to fall for that, you've got another thing coming. So I pretty much pushed it to the back of my mind until one cold and gloomy January evening when I was scrolling Netflix, bored out of my brain, and the title called out to me, "Watch me, watch me." Was this some moment of divine intervention from a Netflix deity, or some nifty new advertising tool? Or maybe I just had one too many vodkas at lunchtime. Whatever the cause, I decided to listen, and I'm so glad I did. This is the best series I've seen in a long time. So good, in fact, I managed to nail all 7 episodes over 2 evenings. It's almost impossible to classify into a specific genre. It's a Bohemian Rhapsody. The story goes through multiple phases, lurching from genre to genre. Is it a coming-of-age drama? Is it a crime thriller? Is it a horror? I have no idea, but it's insanely entertaining. 1 minute you're up, and the next you're down. Some of the subject matter is bleaker than a shit-smeared latrine in a Charles Dickens novel, but the depression is lifted by laugh-out-loud comedy. But somehow it all fits together perfectly. The series is based on Trent Dalton's semi-biographical novel of the same name. Now, having watched this show, I'm not sure how biographical this story actually is. Dalton himself has said that the story is split 50% fact and 50% fiction. If that's true, then that's absolutely terrifying, and Dalton must have had quite the life. The story itself is told through the eyes of 12-year-old Eli, a bright-eyed, articulate, if not rather potty-mouthed teenager growing up and navigating his way through 1980s Brisbane and its criminal underworld. Life has been hard for Eli. His father is an angry alcoholic who he never sees. His mother is a reformed heroin addict. His stepfather is a smack dealer whose gear got his mum hooked in the first place. On top of that, his older brother Gus is a mute who communicates by writing words in the air with his finger. The series kicks off with the family held captive by goons around their kitchen table. A teary-eyed Lyle looks his stepson in the eye and apologises. "I'm sorry, mate," before he is dragged away. We are then taken back in time to the build-up leading to this event. Felix Cameron is incredible as Eli. He completely personifies doe-eyed innocence whilst looking very mischievous. You can't help but feel sorry for him as he lurches from one crisis to another. He cruelly loses each father figure, first his biological dad, then his stepdad, and then his mentor Slim, who is portrayed by the brilliant Brian Brown. He is also a target for sadistic school bullies. But none of these tragedies daunt him. He is ever endearingly optimistic, always seeing the best in people and never judging anyone, even his prison pen pal, who is a sergeant-at-arms for a motorcycle street gang who probably isn't in jail for helping too many old ladies across the street. Phoebe Tonkin nails the role of the flawed but big-hearted Frankie. She wants so much better for her sons and almost seems embarrassed as Eli gushes over her, professing her as the greatest mother in the world. For me, Eli's stepdad Lyle, played by Travis Fimmel, is the standout performance. Lyle knows he's not good enough for Frankie and suspects he will eventually let her down. We are led to believe that it is Gus who is able to see into the future, but you also wonder if Lyle can see glimpses too. Perhaps he can see that he will lead the family to ruin, but he loves both Frankie and also his stepkids so much he can't bear to walk away. This conflict makes Lyle's character so interesting but also tragic. Travis Fimmel captures this vulnerability perfectly. I can't imagine anyone else playing the role of Lyle better. The love and affection he has for the stepkids is heartfelt and genuine. It's a nice step away from the usual cliche of evil stepdads who always turn out to be wrong-uns. My favourite part is when Eli breaks down in tears and instead of admonishing him, Lyle practically begs his stepson never to change. It's a touching moment, and it's refreshing to see a criminal portrayed in this way. The scene is reminiscent of Fimmel's performance in Vikings where he buries his friend Athelstan. I ache from your loss. There is nothing that can console me now. With the exception of Vikings and Warcraft, which I had seared from my memory, I think this might be the first thing I have seen with Fimmel, and it makes me realise what a criminally underused talent he is. Other standout performances include Lee Tiger Halley, who plays Eli's older brother Gus. Halley somehow manages to keep us engaged and laughing despite not saying anything for most of the series. Also, it's absolutely mental how unrecognisable Simon Baker is as the red-eyed, drunkenly aggressive and psychologically damaged father. There is a whole rogues gallery of colourful performances here. There is absolutely no dead weight. Although I did feel a little sorry for Zach Burgess, who had the unfortunate job of taking over the role of Eli when he grows up. He was always on a hiding to nothing given the magical performance of the younger actor. All in all, though, he does a pretty good job. The one criticism I would have of this show is that the ending comes about rather quickly, and there are elements which pretty much come from nowhere. It would have been good to get an understanding of the main villain's motivation. Having said that, I do like the fact that the show doesn't spoon-feed the story to us, and we are given license to make up our own minds as to what is actually happening. Boy Swallow's universe is an absolute riot, invoking nostalgia from 80s classics such as Stand By Me and The Lost Boys, but mixed with elements from This Boy's Life and Scooby-Doo if the Scooby Gang were unfortunate enough to stumble into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is how storytelling should be.